All right, we're live. Welcome everybody to our first ever Ubuntu Online Summit. Give everybody on IRC a couple minutes to catch up because the video usually has a bit of a delay, and then I'll start the slides. For those of you who are watching on ubuntuonair.com, we're also on summit.ubuntu.com, where this presentation and all the others for the event will be available in a very similar fashion with the embedded video and the embedded chat. All right, I think they should be able to see us now. So I'm joined today by Rick Spencer and Robbie Williamson, who are going to be giving us keynotes on client and cloud side of things, respectively. But first, I wanted to go through and talk about the Ubuntu Online Summit and the tools that we have around it. So this is our first Ubuntu Online Summit. If you've been to UDSs in the past, it should be pretty familiar for you because the Ubuntu Online Summit is actually the evolution of UDS, where we used to have the in-person UDS, and then we switched to the online virtual UDS. Now we are going to more of an all-encompassing online summit. So we've taken things that would traditionally be in Ubuntu Open Week, Ubuntu User Days, Ubuntu Developer Week, and we've merged them into what was the virtual Ubuntu Developer Summit. So we're still going to have a lot of topics on planning the next release of Ubuntu, which is the Utopic Unicorn. So we'll still have discussions on core, desktop, cloud and server, and the mobile SDK, and where we're going with those over the rest of this cycle. But we're also going to be introducing a lot of sessions that are more consumer focused, so people who are using the current stable release, the trusty tar 1404. So we'll have a lot of sessions that are geared more towards people who are using it as a desktop, people who are consuming the SDK, people who are using Ubuntu in the cloud and our cloud tools to deploy their own services and manage their own data centers. We've got some track changes to make this possible. First of all, we have an Ubuntu developer track, which is the condensation of many of the UDS tracks. So what used to be core and desktop and cloud development planning has now been rolled into this Ubuntu development track. We have the application developer track again, which we brought in the last virtual UDS, which is going to be focused on people who are consuming Ubuntu as a platform and the Ubuntu SDK as the tools to develop their own independent apps and deliver those. We also have a new cloud DevOps track, which is kind of the cloud side of the application development track. So this is for people who are using our cloud tools like Juju and Maz to deploy their services and manage their data centers. They're not necessarily developing the Ubuntu server itself, but they are consumers of it. We have, once again, a community track, which is open to any of our community teams for planning or presentations. And then we have a new users track, which is focused solely on end users of Ubuntu and helping them get the most out of whatever part of it they happen to be using. We've got some more track leads this time around. Instead of 1 or 2 track leads, now every track has 3 or 4 or 5 track leads. We have a mix in there of canonical and community people. So whereas before it used to be limited to just folks from Canonical that we selected and tasked with getting things set up, this time we're reaching out and including more community people, which has been a great benefit to us. As always, the track leads control the schedule. So if you are running a presentation or you want to run a presentation and you need help getting that on the schedule, you should go find a track lead. And most of all, the track leads are there to help. They're there to help people who are running sessions as well as people who are just participating. So if you have any questions on how to use Summit, how to participate in something, go find a track lead and ask them. They're all listed on summit.ubuntu.com. There's a tracks tab that'll list everybody. And speaking of summit.ubuntu.com, this is it. This is the tool that we use to manage UDS, virtual UDS, and now the online summit. The website will list all of the different tracks that we have, all of the different rooms. Like I said earlier, it'll list the track leads. And it'll also show you the schedule itself. So everything that we're doing this cycle will be in the schedule here. It's broken down by day. You can click on a day and see that day's schedule. If you notice the little star icons next to each one, that's where you can mark yourself as wanting to attend that session or not. And if you do that, you go mark the ones that you're interested in. At the top of the page, there's a My Schedule link that will actually show you everything that you've selected that you want to be in and give you a nice personalized agenda. It will also give you an iCal link if you want to add that to your personal calendar. The sessions themselves will each have a page. Sessions are 1 hour long, and there are 5-minute breaks between each one. Each session page will have several things embedded in it. It'll have the video. Most of you are probably watching on a page similar to this right now. With the video in the top left corner, there's an embedded IRC below it that will point to the correct IRC channel. And to the right, there's an Etherpad document, which we use for taking notes and listing down work items as we go. If that doesn't show up for you, you can go to pad.ubuntu.com in a separate window and log in. If you're not logged in, it doesn't display. It may say that you need to join the Ubuntu-Etherpad team on Launchpad. If you're not already joined that, go and request to join it, and somebody should approve you right away, and that will give you access. And most importantly, after a session's over, they're all recorded and available on YouTube. So you can come back to the same page anytime in the future and replay the video from that session. If you are running a session, as several of you are, there's some things to keep in mind. Try to be ready 5 to 10 minutes ahead of time. It takes a few minutes to get your Hangout started and get all of the information added into Summit. So it's good to be prepared a little bit early. You will need to update Summit with your Hangout and YouTube URLs when you create them. There's a link at the top that says Edit Hangout Details, which will let you add those in there. Most importantly, if you're running a session, keep an eye on the IRC channel. There will be a lot of people who want to participate, but who either can't or don't want to be on the Hangout. So watch IRC for questions, for feedback, and try to repeat that on the video as they come up. It helps people who are watching it later follow along. And encourage participation from everybody. UDS and the Ubuntu Online Summit are supposed to be about open participation. So try and encourage people who are watching your video and following along to give feedback and ask questions. And of course, if you need any help running your session, ask a track lead. They've got the power to do anything that needs to be done in Summit to help you. If you're participating in a session, here's some things for you to keep in mind. First of all, obviously, watch the video. That's where the majority of the content is going to be. You should join the IRC channel and participate in there as well. There'll be some chatter among other people who are watching. Some sessions will have a Q&A. If they are, then be sure to ask your questions in IRC. Start them with the word question in all capitals, and most of us will get a nice highlight on that. If you have more to contribute to the session, then please join the Hangout. Hangouts for discussion sessions are open to anybody who wants to join. It does help speed things along a little bit if you are on video with the others who are presenting. If it's a presentation or a plenary style video, feel free to engage the presenters. One of the things that people presenting on video hate the most is silence. So any engagement that you give them, any questions that you have, they're going to love it. So please feel free to join in. As I said already, ask questions, any question you have. Take notes, especially if it's a presentation. It'll help people who are coming by afterwards see kind of the highlights of it. If it's a planning session, then get work items. This is important for us to keep track of what's actually going to be done over the next cycle, and those work items will get fed back into the Launchpad blueprints. And then we've got another page, status.ubuntu.com, that will list all of those work items and give a burn down of our progress on those. We have some key sessions this week that you might be interested in. Later today at 1700 We have Mark Shuttleworth giving us a keynote, so that's always popular. You should make sure you attend that. On Wednesday at 1400, Rick and Ollie are going to be doing an open Q&A session about the Ubuntu desktop and our plans for that. So if you have any questions about our commitment and plans for the desktop, you should definitely join there and ask your questions to them. They will have the answers for you. And then on Thursday, at the end of the online summit, we'll have a closing summary where each of the tracks will have somebody come up and give kind of a highlight of what was discussed that week and what sessions you might want to go back and watch if you weren't able to attend them live. And finally, get the most out of this. The Ubuntu Online Summit is here for you and for your benefit. So make sure that you participate, make sure that you get involved. It won't be a success for you unless you make it one. So get in there, talk to people, talk to the track leads, ask questions, and most of all, have fun. All right, and that's the end of my slides. So I will hand it now on to Rick Spencer, who is our VP of Engineering, to talk about the client.
Thanks, Michael. That's one of the VPs of Engineering. Give me a sec here. Let me get my slides set up. Okay. Okay, I think everyone can see that okay. So, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this, the online summit, and I'm super pumped about what is going on in Ubuntu right now, and on the cloud side and on the client side. So I'm going to be talking about some of what's going on this week and in this release on the client. And of course, there's this guy. A lot of exciting things happening with the Ubuntu phone. As you know, we have a couple customers who are going to ship Ubuntu pre-installed on phones, and we are working furiously to get Ubuntu ready for them, ready for those customers, ready for the users who are going to be buying phones with Ubuntu on them. We've got some new designs that we're implementing, and we just still have like a lot of features to finish, a lot of work to finish. It's going to be an exciting sprint to the end. But if you're using the phone now, and I've been using the phone for over a year now, I started 2 Mays ago, so for 13 months I've been using nothing but Ubuntu phone. You may notice that whenever we make a promotion, there's very rarely regressions in that promotion. It's almost always the case that the phone has gotten better with those promotions, rarely the case that we have a problem. And so how do we do that? Well, the what I affectionately call the Ubuntu Touch code base, the new code base that we've been building specifically on phones and tablets, we have 4 aspects of that product that that work together. So the user experience, the code, the tests, and the continuous integration system are all aspects of that Ubuntu Touch project that work together to make this product, which is making rapid forward progress and very rarely moves backwards. So this has been a really exciting project to work on and really fun to participate in because we are only writing code when we know the user experience that we want to achieve with that code, and we only write code when we can write tests that verify that that code is correct, and we're continuously running our integration system so we always know whether those tests are passing, which means whether the code is still correct in the face of changes anywhere in the stack. So this combination of these 4 aspects to make this product has been making it super exciting to work on. And as I said, we're in kind of a sprint now. We're shooting for our first release to manufacture at the end of August. So it's June now. We're looking to end of August. There's going to be some discussions this week about how we're going to get to that first release to manufacture date. And so I hope that you're here to help us with that and participate in that. I hope that you're using Ubuntu on your phones and your tablets. This is a really exciting time, a really fun time to be part of the project because of the phone. But I want to spend some time talking about the desktop. And the reason for this is because during this week we're going to be discussing a lot about desktop convergence. So what convergence means is that the same code that's running on the phone is running on the tablet and is running on the desktop. Same code, all those places. And that unlocks a lot of interesting things. So we've already gotten a good start on it. This is a picture that somebody took of their laptop yesterday running Unity 8 and Mir on a laptop, touchscreen laptop. So a lot of things work. So this is the Unity 8 Mir preview image that we made available a few weeks ago to start working on Unity 8 and Mir on the desktops. Really focused on touchscreen laptops right now. And so what you'll see is on this preview image in the 1410 time frame that we hope to make a lot of progress towards that convergence. And there's a lot of opportunity to contribute, to give feedback, and to try it, use it, all different ways of participating in it. But I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some of the opportunities and also the challenges that we're going to face as we work on desktop convergence for the next few weeks. So, on the user experience side, we have like the Unity 7, and then we have Unity 8 that we're making for phone, tablet, and desktop. So Unity 7 codebase only runs on the desktop today and is really tuned just for the desktop. Now, when we designed Unity, we took great pains to make sure that the design would transfer the phone and the tablet. And I think if you use a phone, use a tablet, you can really see the benefits of that. It's you know, the Ubuntu phone feels very familiar because of that effort. But still today, Unity 7 only runs on the desktop, so we really have to move that Unity 8 over, and there's going to be a lot of work involved to make that work well. So for instance, like the way the dash works in Unity 7, it's pretty flat, but Unity 8 has a much richer experience on the dash, and so we need to move that over, make that work well on the desktop. The Unity 7 greeter, it's simple, it's beautiful. The Unity 8 greeter has those same characteristics, but also has that wonderful infographic and those experiences at the beginning. Unity 7 has only non-interactive notifications to notify OSD, but because of some of the requirements for a phone, like being able to answer a call and other things, we have added snap decisions to Unity 8. So we need to think about how snap decisions are going to work in a desktop environment. Unity 7 has a simple alt-tab list, pretty traditional, but Unity 8 has that beautiful spread of open applications. So we need to figure out how to bring the efficiency of the alt-tab list to the beauty of the visual spread. Unity 7, no edge gestures, but Unity 8, if you have a touchscreen, you soon get used to using edge gestures and the power of them. And Unity 7 has very traditional window management, it has no side stage, but Unity 8 has the side stage, which we need to explore how to make the most advantage of that, how to take the most advantage of that on a desktop environment. So there's some technical aspects that go, those user experience aspects that we need to solve some of the problems here, face some of these challenges, and also build on some of the opportunities that we've made. So for instance, Unity 7 is built in Nux, and Nux is our custom GL library for building desktops, and it was, you know, really a great thing to build at the time and really served us well. But since then, we've written Unity 8 in QML, And that gives us a lot more flexibility and speed in making changes. So it's much easier now to make changes in Unity 8. So it's really much more inviting for contributions. Unity 7 runs only on compiz and Xorg. It really requires that. Where Unity 8 is strictly runs on Mir these days. So this is a big gap that we have to fill. Unity 7, if you have any custom scopes, scopes are written in Python in Unity 7. But in Unity 8, they're written in Go or C++, so that there's going to be some porting involved if you have favorite scopes that haven't been ported yet. There's a big one. On the traditional desktop, there's no application isolation. This is very different in touch. New applications that we write with the SDK on the phone, tablet, and on the Unity 8 desktop run in an isolated mode. It's a very, very secure way to run applications, but the old applications have no notion of this. So we have to figure out how to bridge the unisolated and the isolated world. Similar to that is this notion of an application lifecycle. So we've introduced lifecycle policies which control how and when applications run. So on traditional desktop, an application is pretty much free to determine how it runs. But you really don't want that on a mobile device because you want to be able to control what's consuming your resources, extend your battery life. There's other benefits of that application lifecycle. So it's a policy-based system. We need to figure out what's the right policy for the application lifecycle on the desktop. Finally, there's this notion of the file system and doing updates with apt, whereas on Ubuntu Touch for phone, tablets, we use a read-only file system, which lets us use system image updates. We use click updates. So there's a very different way of laying out the file system and doing updates, and we have to figure out how to make these systems work together. Finally, you can see sort of these differences and these bridges that we need to build in how you install software. So traditional Unity 7-based desktop, we have the software center, whereas in Unity 8 and Mir, we have a click store. And the click store is built as a scope as opposed to being a GDK application. And so the software center is installing Debian packages on your system, whereas the click store only installs click packages. So you may be familiar with some of the challenges that developers have had submitting, like building building Debian packages, submitting them to the store. Whereas on the Click Store, it's really quite trivial and easy for developers to submit applications. If you look at the list of applications, you'll see how many have already been created. And then the Software Center just lacks some features that the software store, that the Click Store has and will continue to have. But you can see there's sort of some bridges that we need to build between the Software Center and the Click Store world as we bring convergence to the desktop. So as I said, we're going to make, next to the regular 1410 desktop, we're going to make this Unity 8 preview image. And this will be Mir and Unity 8 only. So there'll be no Xorg or compiz. If you install this and use this preview image, there'll be no Xorg, no compiz. But it'll feature very basic desktop window management. We'll have a side stage, but it'll be very basic window management. We'll evolve the window management later. Hopefully, we'll be able to make the Software Center and Application Scope coexist, so you'll still have access to your old applications. That'll depend a lot on how far we get on making legacy, non-click, non-SDK applications work on Mir. But of course, you'll always be able to use apt-get on the preview image, so you will have access to any application that you want. It's just not clear how many we'll be able to get to run well. Then we'll have to also figure out what is the application lifecycle policy for the desktop. Like, do we allow apps to run in the background? And if so, like, how do we control that? A few things that we're going to strive for. Really like to see a Mir GDK backend. Really like to see the Qt applications. There's already a Qt back end for me. I really like to see the Qt applications working well on this preview image. Done a lot of work to make Chromium run. Like to see that running. And then an interesting thing that we might be able to do is make 1404 LTS run in a virtual machine, like a VM-like experience on Mir. And if we can do this in this way, you could use the 1410 preview image, but if you have workflow or specific applications which don't work on it, from time to time you could run that VM and get your work done in those environments. So that's what we're striving for the desktop convergence in this cycle, and I think there'll be a lot of interesting discussions about it during the course of the week. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Rick. Now we're going to go over to Robbie for an update on the cloud and server side of things.
Cool. Welcome. Hello. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't make any slides. I was asked to do this yesterday, but at the same time, I figured Mark would steal all my good stuff in his keynote tomorrow. So what I'd like to do is kind of briefly go over what the Cloud DevOps track is going to be covering and how that kind of lines up with what we're doing with the Ubuntu server and cloud. As hopefully many of you know, sorry, 1 second here. My levels are too high. Thanks, Michael. The three, I guess, components that we kind of drive to, across the whole server cloud is Juju, the server itself, the OS, and then OpenStack. And those are, I guess, kind of three components that make up the overall cloud presence that we have. Covering first off, is the server itself. There's some, if you look through the Cloud DevOps track, a lot of the discussions around server is going to be both focused on LXC, which is something that Ubuntu and even Canonical itself has been driving forward for a few years now. We're happy to have Docker, looking at that in terms of how to exploit that more in OS, but as well as LXC containers and how we can take advantage of that even more. Juju and Mast use it already in terms of how we deploy Ubuntu server into various, substrates, either basically in a cloud or on bare metal. But we are looking at how to push the envelope even further on LXC in terms of hardening it up, making it even more reliable, more secure, and something that we can really use in terms of exploiting. Someone from Google had a great quote about LXC in the sense of a lot of times when we talk about servers versus cloud instances, you treat your server like a pet and you treat your cloud instances like cattle. And they say when it comes to containers, you treat those like ants. In terms of just the breadth of how many you can use, and the importance of just one. So it's not more, it's more about leveraging as many as you can, because I don't know if you study the ants. I don't really study ants that much, but the strength of ants are in their numbers, and same with LXC. So you'll see a lot of discussions around LXC, how it relates to Juju itself and the server. We also have standard topics around OpenStack, how we're going to move forward with the charming. We have the Juno release coming up, as many of you may or may not know. OpenStack releases on a 6-month cadence, just as we do. And we do a very, the server team does an outstanding job, actually, of tracking that upstream, continuously integrating it, continuously testing it against the development stack, so that as soon as the next release of Ubuntu comes out, you're guaranteed to get the next release of OpenStack. So there's going to be some discussions around that in terms of how to keep moving forward on that, make it a tighter integration. Discussions around Ceph and how to better leverage that within the distro. Some may know or may not know that Inktank was purchased by Red Hat, but that doesn't really change our stance around Ceph. We're happy for that to happen. That's great for Ceph. It's great for Inktank. Gets more power behind them from a development standpoint. So we're going to continue to look at how we leverage Ceph, not just in OpenStack, but just in Ubuntu server itself. I guess beyond that, for server, there would be some discussions probably around expansions of simple streams, which is a metadata service that we use to let you know where the latest Ubuntu server is when you're deploying with Juju, be it in the cloud or on bare metal. So a lot of the discussions around server, again, primarily are focused on using the server as a host OS, but also we will probably go into Ubuntu server in the cloud. We're very popular across all the major clouds and growing very rapidly. Both the Ubuntu project and Canonical do a lot in terms of making sure that our users have a great experience in the cloud. So there should be a few sessions around that as well, because we're always looking forward to seeing how well we can improve the experience for the user in the cloud. And then there comes Juju, our service orchestration tool. That will cover both. I guess there's three parts of Juju in the sense it's the core part of of how we expand the core feature sets of Juju itself. Then there is the charms, the ecosystem around Juju, where we're looking to grow that community in terms of charmers and those who write these charms, who deploy these applications in different areas, be it on the cloud or on bare metal. And then there's beyond the charms, there's the GUI, which is the awesome interface that you use to deploy these things and really manage your deployment. Obviously, the command line tool is very useful. It's very scriptable, but the power of Juju, I think, really shows itself well through the GUI. So there'll be some topics around next steps with the GUI, next steps around the charm store, and what we can do with Juju. We're starting to look at even topics around big data. I know that's a big buzzword all the time, but Juju allows you to be able to deploy complex solutions very quickly, scale them very rapidly, and share them. And big data plays a huge role in a lot of these solutions. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think there's pretty full track. Looking through all the rest of them, I mean, I'm pretty impressed, to be honest, with how many cloud and DevOps tracks we have. But yeah, if you want to participate, I hope you do. I hope you want to join in. There's a lot going on the server cloud front. I know it's very easy to get excited by the phone. I get excited by the phone. I still run the phone. I haven't fully committed over like Rick, but I do use it when I can. But we're doing some exciting things around on the cloud and server side. For once, Ubuntu now is at the level that we wanted it to be, in the sense of being recognized as a full-blown server OS. Obviously, we're based on a great server OS, Debian, so it shouldn't be it's probably no surprise to most of the folks attending these sessions. But to the outside, I think some folks still would only see us as a client OS, and are pleasantly surprised now that we've made such inroads into being a great server and cloud OS. And with that, I'm done. Michael.
All right. Thank you, Robbie. Well, I hope we've given you all an idea of what to expect for the next 3 days and gotten you excited to come and be a part of it. So if you had any questions at all, I know there were some in the IRC channel, please save those for the detailed sessions. Like I said, everything we were talking about this hour, we'll have more in-depth discussions happening over the next 3 days. So save your questions for those and go please attend them. Also, we've got about 20 minutes or so before the next session starts, so take that time to go look through the schedule and mark any sessions that you want to attend so that you can get your own personal agenda to follow. If you decide that you want to run a session, we still have the community and the users tracks we've got several slots available. So if you want to run a session on a topic, please get with one of the track leads for those tracks and ask them. They can walk you through the process of proposing a session and getting it on the schedule. And again, all of these videos will be recorded, so please come back and watch them or re-watch them as you need to. Link them to people who ask you questions about these topics as they come up over the next 6 months or so. If you're watching on ubuntuonair.com, again, please go to summit.ubuntu.com, where you can find the schedule and all of the upcoming sessions. Most of those will not be on ubuntuonair.com, so you will be missing out if you only stay on that page. And most of all, have fun, and we will see you around. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks,
Thanks,
Robbie.
Michael. Thanks, Rick.
Cindy.
Thanks, Rick.